I'm beginning to think this is very rare for me to say, wrong about Kai Havertz.
No, you were wrong.
But you slag him off heavy.
No, but you were wrong.
The Chelsea bias, stuff like that. I'm a neutral when it comes to Kai Havertz. Well, except the fact he scored against us in the Champions League final. But he scored against Brighton, obviously, on the weekend. It was a nice little finish. I thought he was absolutely fantastic against Brighton.
I agreed with you guys that Kai Havertz wasn't worth the money they spent on him.
Yeah.
I question whether it was the right deal. But I did say he'd be better for Arsenal than he was for Chelsea.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
and he's already got his best Premier League.
He's growing into the role, mate. And against Brighton, what I realised is that he's far better at running into the channels. I think we used to say that he was a lazy player, and if you didn't get the ball to feet, he'd be a little bit frustrated with not influencing the game. He's now prepared to run the channels, run in behind centre backs, even if the ball isn't coming. He creates a lot of space for Arsenal. I think he's a changed man.
Yeah, he
was a young man at Chelsea,
yeah,
who still did very good things for them. Like, people can mature, or people can play for clubs that just doesn't fit for them. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He was definitely one of the most frustrating players I think I've ever watched, because what was never really in doubt was the quality, but what was hugely in doubt was when the quality was displayed. Like, there were so many moments where you just think he's just not involved in the game. He's just not part of the game. The game is passing him by. We needed him to be the main man, and he was just a passenger on so many occasions. But then he would do something spectacular. I remember we beat Newcastle, last minute goal at Stamford Bridge. And he sort of pulled the ball down and stuck it away really, really casually with aplomb. You know, one of those like expert finishes. You're like, I've seen you miss way easier chances than that. I've seen you miss way easier chances than that today. Why are you scoring? It's like what in the end was a perfectly crafted goal, you know, beautiful finish. So I found him infuriating. And I didn't rate him. And by the time it came to him leaving Chelsea, I was happy to see the back of him. I was really ready to see the back of him. But what I will have to concede here, he's getting on my tits.
Yo, people, apologies for interrupting the video. Listen, we're sponsored by Super 6, and we want you to get involved. And it helps you more than it helps us. It helps us to download the app. Of course, join Super 6. You have to be 18 and over. It's free to play, though. Predict 6 scores. You get them correct, you could win £250,000. You know the kind of drama people have to go through on Deal or No Deal for that kind of money. And all you have to do is predict 6 scores. So get involved with Super 6, download the app, and enjoy the rest of the video.
He's very reminiscent for me of David Raya as well. When he came in, there was a bit of confusion about should Raya start, should Ramsdale start with Kai Havertz, should it be Jesus down the middle, should it be even Eddie Nketiah had periods of time where he was starting for Arsenal. Now, for me, for the remainder of the season, as long as fitness kind of applies to Kai Havertz, he has to start all the big games. He starts against Bayern Munich. At the start of the season, if I said to you, all right, quarter-final Champions League, Kai Havertz has to start for Arsenal against Bayern Munich, you'd laugh my head off. You'd be laughing your head off.
It's actually even bigger than what you're making it. It's not he starts. He is one of the focal points. One of the main reasons as to why Arsenal could beat Bayern Munich, and I think in most people's opinions will beat Bayern Munich, is Kai Havertz. Like, he has become a huge goal threat for the club. He has become integral into the way that they play. And you know how highly, I know at Buvey especially, you and I differ slightly on our appraisal of Gabriel Jesus. But it's got to the stage now where Gabriel Jesus is at best first sub for Arsenal,
or as a left winger. He wants to come in off the left and
maybe, but
link up with Kai Havertz.
I would say that Martinelli is ahead of Gabriel Jesus in that position. So he's second string there. I would say that Bukayo Saka is ahead of him in the reverse position. And then I think through the middle, a position that was Gabriel Jesus's. It was his position.
I no longer think he's a great player for the modern day. You know, like he can play anywhere that the manager kind of asked him to, 8, 10, up top. And at Chelsea, it felt like he was being used more as a number 9, almost at the time, wasn't he? He was up front on his own, looking like the weight of the world was on his shoulders.
Yeah, support is a huge difference as well, being supported by Timo Werner rather than being supported by Bukayo Saka, isn't it?
This system helps him out massively. This system, when you're playing for Arsenal, you realise that if I make a run, I don't get the ball, but I know that Declan Rice is going to look after it, Jorginho is going to look after it. It's a lot easier to be a bit more, take risks as a footballer. I'm a massive fan of Kai Havertz in the last 10 games. I think he's been superb.
Yeah, well, he scored this calendar year alone. He scored 10 goals. Yeah,
it's so frustrating as a City fan, isn't it? I was like, God,
some crucial goals as well. Was it Brentford where he pops up?
Yeah, last minute winner against Brentford both times, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I think it actually might be 10 goals this season, 5 of them this calendar year. But it's still an impressive haul.
Good form, yes.
It is, and he's really surprised me. And I think the kindest thing that I can say about him to demonstrate how I now feel about him is he's really starting to get on my nerves. Like, getting on my tits. Like, Timo Werner, I'm indifferent to it. I don't care. Whereas with Kai Havertz, you think every week when Arsenal need him most, he's popping up, he's doing the business. And, when you think kind of longer term for Arsenal, there were periods this season where people were saying Arsenal can only win the league if they sign a centre-forward, if they sign Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is the answer to all of Arsenal's problems. A theory, actually, that I never subscribed to. But it's getting to the stage now.
That could still be the case.
No, it's getting to the stage now. What I was going to say is, it's getting to the stage where if Arsenal decide to persevere with the same tactics, which is a false nine, I don't think they need to then sign anybody because they've got Gabriel Jesus to back up Kai Havertz when they need it. Eddie Nketiah has played the last couple of games for moments and has looked terrible. So he will ultimately leave.
He'll move, yeah.
He will ultimately leave and probably go and do a really good job for a championship team.
Bottom Premier League.
Bottom Premier League
Palace.
Team, yeah. Well, it's now.
I think it'll.
Kai Havertz has now
changed
changed the way that. What you think?
I think we can have a debate where Arsenal will be in the next 5 years, how many league titles they win, if any of them. Eventually, you'll need Haaland. Eventually, you need.
I was about to say, I still
Wayne
think
Rooney,
they need
Andy
a striker.
Cole. You need strikers consistently to win
But I don't
consistent
think that's
titles.
because of Havertz. I think that's because of Jesus.
But Arsenal's
you know what I mean? I'm not
approach-
blaming Havertz.
But Arsenal's approach, in the way that Man City's approach was when they won the league. Let's remember, Man City won. They definitely won the league. I'm trying to think what else they won that year when they didn't have a striker. They had Gabriel Jesus.
Champions League final.
Champions League final. They had a brilliant season, obviously.
Yeah.
If you want to have the Arteta system, which is built around 5 players scoring a dozen goals, 5 players scoring a dozen or more. So you've got somebody like Bukayo Saka who will break the 20 barrier. You've got somebody like Martin Odegaard who will push close to the 10 barrier. And ultimately, you have 5 players that will score approximately a dozen goals. You don't need the major man, do you? You don't need the pinnacle.
Until you get figured out. And Arsenal haven't been figured out this season.
What you think ultimately you do, though?
Ultimately, yeah.
But
It
that's
all
what I'm about to
comes
say.
back down to goals.
As of yet, they haven't won anything. So at the end of the season, could you get, if they finish second, could you then go, and this is weird because of the top goal scorers in the league, but could you go, actually, they need that focal point?
I don't think they do because of the system. Because they have so many players. Like, when you think about who's going to score, so when Arsenal next play, well, in fact, let's go for when they have a massive game, right? They play Tottenham. They play Tottenham, right? They're playing Tottenham to win the league. If I were to say to you, Arsenal win the game, who scores the winner? I think that we could all say 2 different players.
Yeah, 3, 4.
Do you know what I mean? Because also, like, it's all very well going the forward players. I go Declan Rice scores the winner. You go Gabriel Jesus. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
it's not only the strikers.
Yeah.
Gabriel's
Kai
picking up
Havertz
with
contributes
goals.
towards that.
Yeah.
He brings everyone else's level up to a higher level.
Yeah.
He's been superb. I don't see where the next loss comes from Arsenal. I see gaps in the Liverpool defence. I see City conceding goals to Palace. Obviously, we won the game 4-2, but we're conceding goals.
Won the game really well, though.
No, but there are moments where, Palace were causing issues and Liverpool, Sheffield United last week, it was 60, 70 minutes and they were drawing the game. Arsenal dominated Brighton. They're
just not conceding goals. They're just not conceding goals. Like, do you now think that they are a shoo-in for the league?
Yeah, currently they're favourites.
Is anybody a shoo-in for the league?
Shoo-in's a
But
big
the way
word.
that we're talking about Arsenal, they haven't gone behind in any Premier League game so far this year. That's 11 games. They haven't been losing any game this entire year. And I'm not the huge exponent of XG, but even I will concede that this is a huge stat. This calendar year, 2024, Arsenal's XG for conceding is 4 point, just under 5. Like, this whole year. Like, Manchester City, the second lowest, they're 12. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not conceding goals. They're free scoring. Where's the weak link? If you concede the least and you score the most, doesn't that equal a shoo-in?
No, because shoo-in would
the
say you're
world
10
we live
points
in,
clear.
they're still level on points.
If they're
with
10
Liverpool,
points clear, exactly,
and they're 1 point clear of City.
There's not been a shoo-in for a long time in the league, maybe since Liverpool won the Premier League in like March or whatever. There's very few shoo-ins, especially in a 3-horse race.
Okay.
But they're very, very good.
Okay,